Evening Champions League. Celtic are out of the Champions League before it's even started the prelim games, and they've been dumped out. So they will not be at the top table of European competition this season. Which
that's a little
brutal.
bit harsh.
That's brutal. That is brutal. I mean, if we're really, really honest, Steven Gerrard's turned it round. He has now got the Premier team in Scotland at the moment. You would think that is going to continue over the next season, Perry. Is that Celtic season done already?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's their season done and dusted. And Postecoglou's gone in there. He said he's gone in there with his eyes wide open. He knew it was probably the biggest rebuild that Celtic have had for the last 20 years. But they don't have any money. You know, they're not spending. Hardly any signings have come in. I think the most expensive signing, Starveld's come in for 4.5 million centre half. And if you look at Celtic, that's the second season on the trot that they've gone out in the second qualifying round of the Champions. So they've been beaten by the second best team in Denmark. So does that tell you where the Scottish Premiership is at the moment? Last season, 25 points behind Rangers. Hibs were 14 points behind Celtic, so they're 39 points behind Rangers. Rangers are going to get better and stronger. Yeah. So it's Celtic's season done. If you're a Celtic fan, you must be looking at that thinking, that's it. We have no chance of catching Rangers. Absolutely none whatsoever. Yeah. So that's their season done.
Yeah, I don't... You're right in what you're saying there about the SPL and what have you, but I think Rangers are a million miles ahead of Celtic. I mean, last season themselves, they had a fantastic run, didn't they, in the Europa League, so therefore I'm sure their fans are extremely excited about what their team are going to bring to them this year. But regarding as a competition now, the league, you would think that there isn't any at all. Normally it is a two-horse race. Normally you do get a little bit of something, don't you? But it doesn't look like that's going to be the case this season, which then obviously brings questions, and I know Rangers fans are going to hate this, but it brings questions about an extremely ambitious manager that is currently residing at Rangers, and he's done extremely well. He's turned it round. He's obviously ended the run of Celtic and got a league championship in the trophy cabinet there at Ibrox. How long for him at Rangers if there's no competition, if there's nothing really challenging him? How long for him in Scotland before his head's turned and he has a little bit of a look at something else?
I think he's probably looking at it and thinking he wants to win back-to-back titles. You mentioned Europa League, a better run. If they can get Champions League, fantastic. If not, a better run in Europe, basically a better run in Europe. And he's obviously very competitive. This is his fourth season there, I think. So he has turned it around at Rangers. Players are going to Rangers because of him and because there's money. You look at Stephen Davis, for instance, who obviously been brilliant for Rangers, and like Jermaine Defoe, attracting sort of real big names. So him and Gary McAllister will probably think, let's have this season and see where at the end of next season, because everybody's going to talk about the Liverpool job, is he going to jump into that? I personally think he needs another test in the Premier League as a manager. But if he takes that and it doesn't go well, then he's not getting the Liverpool job. So he's put himself in a very, very strong position at this particular time.
Well, here's one for you on that. Frank Lampard got the Chelsea job, yeah? I know it didn't work out for him, but he got the Chelsea job off the back of a solid display at Derby. They were all right, weren't they? But it didn't work out for him, but he got the Chelsea gig off the back of that. Steven Gerrard, as a manager, is better qualified now than Frank Lampard was when he got the Chelsea gig. So could he not go into one of the top jobs in England off the back of what he's done in Scotland?
I think the way that he's turned Rangers round, let's say, but he knew he went into Rangers having money to spend, which he spent very wisely. And you said he's done his apprenticeship longer than what Frank Lampard did. The job come too early for Frank Lampard after a season at Derby, and he only got it because obviously he's Frank Lampard, Chelsea legend, and he bought into obviously bringing the younger players in because of the transfer embargo at the time, didn't they? So I still think that you do need to manage a mid-table Premier League club to learn your trade even more. But as I said before, would he take that chance? Because if that doesn't go well, then he's got no chance of getting the Liverpool job. So, yeah. And if you set up there with Rangers, you said as well, they're looking at that. They'll be. I know Rangers fans, you want to win league titles, and they stopped the 10, didn't they, from Celtic, which was fantastic, and like 25 points. But you still want a bit of competition. You know what I mean? You still want someone to push you and test you, and that's theirs. They'll win the Scottish Premiership at canter again. And if you was Celtic, I don't think at this particular time at Celtic that they're probably a decent League One team. They'd probably be at the top of maybe League One. And I think the standard in the Scottish Premiership, you'd probably say that Rangers would probably be top of the Championship, like one of the top 6 teams in the Championship.
Do you not think they'd be a Premier League team?
I think they'd find it, if they went straight in, I think they'd find the competition and the relentlessness week after week after week very, 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 very taxing at this particular time. If they came down here and they had a few years, then absolutely, they'd establish themselves in the Premier League. But I don't think at the moment, if you just say you look at the standard at the Scottish Premiership, it's not great.
I get that, but that's a massive gap, isn't it? From the team right at the top, the team that we would envisage that is going to go on to win the league this year, that could be top end Championship, if we're going to compare it like that, to bottom end Premier League, to the next competitor, the team that is the closest rival to them, you're saying is a League One side.
Without being too harsh on them, they'd be at the top maybe.
Yeah, but even so, it's a full division, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's how far they are behind. Say Postecoglou, he said he knew, what he had. If you look at their back four tonight, their average age of the back four was 21. So you got players that are learning a trade in a Celtic team that isn't very good. So Edouard looked a little bit off it tonight. They rely on his goals. Is he going to want to stay? If in a team like Celtic, which is bang average, I'd just be brilliant to hear from what they think. Maybe we're misreading it. Catman, do you know what I mean?
No, I'm sure Celtic fans are pulling their hair out. You get dumped out of the Champions League at this stage, even before a proper competitive ball is kicked off like you just said, the second best team in Denmark. There's something not right there. So Celtic fans, get in contact with the show. Is the season over? The
Sports Bar with Andy Goldstein and Jason Cundy. Monday to Thursday night from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.